Hi. Hi, everybody. This is Rachel Silber, and I'm here with you on this drizzly day on my balcony because these last few days have been really full on, and there has been so much going on in the world, and so much going on in my world, and so much that I'm observing, and so much that I'm enjoying that I wanted to speak a little bit about that. So today, let me just find where I was because the wind just blew all of these pages together. So today I had delved into, in particularly chapter 4 of the How to Become Money workbook with my friend Helen. We're doing a deep dive and an exploration, and it's been quite a gift. This is the old cover of the book, by the way, on Amazon or on the Access website. It has a really pretty colorful cover now. But this particular chapter of what does money mean to you, or what does money feel like, actually. Where did it go? Okay. With all the conversations about everything that's going on in the United States now and all around the world, there's been a lot of, we have to stand up for what we believe in. We have to really fight for the change that we'd like to see in the world. And one of the things even Gandhi said, it wasn't about fighting, standing, sure, kneeling, taking a knee, as some of the police and other people were doing as well in some of the demonstrations as well. But it is be the change you would like to see in the world. And it is an invitation to function in an entirely different way. My husband mentioned something to me that he had seen, all these memes about something Karens. I can't, sidewalk Karens or something like that. I don't follow all of the news and everything else that specifically, but it was really interesting to hear his commentary about what people are doing to one another, like playing the race card against somebody else, and in a way is to destroy them. When people do that, they don't see the person who's there. They don't see that sweet being who might really love cartoons, who does phenomenal impressions, who can do magic tricks that would wow you, who can invite you over for the most amazing pizza on the planet. You don't see the person. You see a lump sum of lies and points of view about a group of people rather than that specific individual that's in front of you. And when we go into judging someone based on stories and histories and whether there were things that we think maybe we have to protect us from, it's like the person there is a boogeyman. Whether it's a man or a woman, doesn't matter. Whether they're black or white or purple or polka dotted, doesn't matter. They're just this other, and it's scary. And in this book, the How to Become Money workbook, we specifically speak about money. That's the great, interesting thing in the book. We speak about money, but it isn't necessarily all about money. And so Raz, who is this amazing being that Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, was channeling in this specific book, they speak about money. And look at this. Look at your life. What have you created? Did you start out with a magnificent amount of money, or did you create and then get into confusion about it and get into doubt and get into feeling powerless to do or to know how to control it, and then it began to pull away from you because you were creating confusion and you were creating doubt about yourself? Now, in this case, again, specifically, they're speaking about money. Take it out of that context and look at life in general. Okay? That is where your life went, but none of that is the truth of you. You, as a being, have total power to create your life, and you can, and you will and it will come together in more magnificent ways than you can even imagine. Okay? But it will come from you having faith, and this is for all of you. Faith in yourself. Faith in knowing that you have created the reality that exists now, and the awareness that you're willing to change it. Not from fighting, not from judging yourself, or judging another person, or judging another situation, but from having that freaking trust in yourself and in your capacity to change anything that you put your energy on. That is all it takes. The willingness to allow it to be different. Now, this is a really key thing. First of all, willingness. How often do we say one thing, but actually that's not really what we'd like? That's not really what's motivating us. I say maybe, oh, I'd like to be thinner, but I'm not, am I really, really willing? I'm not sure, for whatever reason, and there's no reason really necessary, but for whatever, this is what's worked for me so far. So one thing is to recognize the willingness. Are you truly willing to have a change? And if you are, would you allow it? And what is allowance? Allowance is not aligning or agreeing or resisting or reacting. Allowance is the opposite of accepting the status quo, acceptance of what is, accepting that this is the only thing that can show up. See, acceptance is where, whether you're fighting against something or you're saying, yeah, that's the way it works in this world, it doesn't allow any movement, any change, or any possibility. Allowance, on the other hand, is more fluid, is more open. It allows possibilities to flow, and it comes when you're willing to really look at everything as an interesting point of view. It takes the fight, it takes the wind out of the sails of fighting, and just looking at, now this is where I would fall and smack my face sometimes, because I'd be looking for the goodness in people, and all people, they have to have some element of good in them, right? I don't know why I still had this in my ear, but do I need this? No, it's not connected to that, I don't think. It's not that they, maybe I do. I can't remember if I was connected to those or not, just felt so warm in there. I kept looking for the positive. I kept looking for the good. I kept thinking that everybody's good somewhere. But they're real assholes walking the planet. There are shitheads who don't consider that every person that they're looking at is like a masterpiece, an amazing creation of their experiences, of their tastes, of their senses of humor. I've got a kind of punny, puny, whatever, silly sense of humor. But that's part of the magic of me. That's part of the flavor of me. That's part of the difference of me. And everyone is like that. If we look with eyes of appreciation and gratitude for what that person could be, or is even if they're assholes, if we're totally grateful for that assholism, then we're not surprised when they're like that. We're aware. I always tell my daughter when she goes out, and my son too, he was living in Israel for a very long time, and I'd say, not be careful. No, never be careful, because then you're like looking for the sky to fall in on you, and it's like, what's his name? Chicken Little, I think was that cartoon. No, it's not having to look for what's going to happen, something bad's going to occur, I have to protect myself. No, it's not being careful, it's being aware. When you're aware, your barriers are dropped, your barriers are lowered. You're so vulnerable that you can perceive the breeze that's just tickling past your skin. You can perceive the anger in someone's universe as they walk past. You can perceive the kindness in someone's world. You can perceive if someone has intentions to hurt you. You do that. You as an infinite being in a body, with a body, you can perceive. You know everything. You perceive everything. You be everything That's one of the things that is so, when I got that, it took me quite a few years to get that. If I'm judging something or someone, if there's any resistance in my world to something or someone, somewhere, I have been there and done that. I have been and done whatever that is that's creating that irk in my world. So rather than judge, I recognize that I've been there. If I'm looking at someone and saying, damn, what an asshole, what a bitch, okay, where have I been that before? And when I'm willing to shift and change my points of view or my expectations that the world's gonna treat me a particular way, or that this is always happening to me. In the conversation with Helen today, she was mentioning someone who expected for all the women that he dated to be bitches, and then they were. I remember being in a conscious horse, conscious rider class, and I mentioned, I'm scared of falling off the horse. Well, you have a point of view that you're going to fall off the horse. Guess what? The effect of your point of view is not far behind. If you have a point of view that you're going to fall, you will fall. If you have a point of view that you're going to be attacked or that the world is out to get you, you're going to be attacked and the world is going to be out to get you. But if you're aware that vulnerability is a superpower, because you can perceive everything. And when you're in allowance, you've got no point of view about what it is that you're perceiving. You're not always looking for the good stuff and, oh, this person has got to be good. You can see when they may stick a knife in your back. You can perceive it, you can pick it up, and you too are willing to be any energy that's required to change the situation. Okay? The thing is, you don't have to go to the fight. When you go to fight, you solidify everything. And that's the gift of allowance. For change to occur, says Raz, for change to occur, you must function in allowance, not resistance, not reaction, not on alignment or agreement. And the student interrupted him, but I'm willing to allow it. I just want to understand, how often are we trying to figure things out? How often are we trying to understand? And Raz says you're functioning at resistance. Resistance is futile, they said. I think it was Star Trek. Can't remember. Resistance is futile, right? You're functioning at resistance because you are trying to understand from something that does not really exist. Now, I'm just going to hop back over here. Okay, so this particular student was really confused in the book about what is reality. Okay, so he says, well, who am I? Am I a body? Are you here? Is there somebody else here? Is there a reality? Is there any difference? What the hell is existence? Are you, or is everything pure energy and there's no separation between spirit and soul and consciousness, that this is it, is it, that there's nothing to be said about anything? So all the suffering and all the sorrow and all the illusion and all the separation and all the confusion, well, what is that? What? And Raz answers that entire swirling thought storm with one word: creation. You can call it creation, you can call it invention, but it is when we solidify anything with our points of view. And again, he says, resistance because you're trying to understand from something that does not really exist. It's a created reality. It isn't the truth of what is possible there. The other people, in their own free will and choice, are also creating from something that does not exist. They step into a vibrational virtual reality. They step into a story, a movie, if you will, right? And they play their parts in that. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can step out of the movie. You can step away and choose something different. And not necessarily even by just stepping away, but being a different energy, being even in that space of the inside of realization that, okay, I can see things from a different perspective. I can see that this person is really a jerk. I can see that not everybody's necessarily all wonderful in the world. I can see something else is available. And I know that a world of possibilities can exist. I know that if I don't solidify by fighting everything, by fighting everyone, by fighting myself, something else could be possible. And judgment is a fight too. A quiet fight perhaps, but a fight nonetheless. So there's a continuation. They're creating from something that does not exist. A continuation of acceptance, alignment, or agreement, resistance, or reaction. To accept anything, to solidify anything, you must align, agree, resist, or react, which I sometimes call reject. To do any of that, you're accepting something and making it solid, dense, intense, and real. Those are the functional elements of your world. That's how we function on this planet. And you, and me, and this kitty cat, you, in order to change it, you must function at allowance. So every time that you are in allowance, in interesting point of view, in being willing to see something else available rather than what you've judged to be the way it's always been done. Well, this is the way my culture is, this is the way my people are, this is the way blah, 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 blah. Or in this book, it's about money. But every time that you are in allowance, you change all of those around you. Every time somebody comes at you with a strong point of view, and you can say, interesting point of view, and be in allowance of it, you have shifted the consciousness of the world because you have not bought it. You've not made it more solid. You've not gone into agreement with it. You've not resisted it. You've not reacted to it. You have not made it a reality. Okay? You have allowed reality to shift and change. Only allowance creates change. Only allowance. So allowance is being an interesting point of view. And choosing again and again, sometimes people say, well, but I'm defending this point of view. Well, where is being interesting point of view when you are holding onto a point of view? Now, I understand there are many situations that are fucking uncomfortable. But the more we go to solidify them, the more we go to defend them, the more we go to, fists out. Geez, I bought Gary a t-shirt when I was in Israel. I never got to see him. When I was supposed to go to Rome for facilitator training, but I do have the t-shirt aside for him. And I was wondering, where did I hear this? And then it clinked after Dane's live today, where I did see it. It said, fighting for peace. Now, I was in Israel at the Shuk in Jerusalem. And the t-shirt said, fighting for peace is like fucking for virginity. Perfect kind of Gary sense of humor. So I got Gary the t-shirt. Don't know if he'll wear it. Doesn't matter, but it was fun to get. But the thing is, fighting for change, fighting for anything is like fucking for virginity. It just doesn't work. However, asking questions for change, creating different conversations, hugging, social distancing maybe makes it a little bit difficult, but even demonstrations where people are all together in physical close proximity, that also changes things too, What change are we willing to be? What allowance can we be that will allow a different possibility to melt in the world? Just having a different conversation allows things to change. Just being an expanded space allows things to change. Now, Dane had done, and if you haven't seen it, please go see it. I've shared on my page. Dr. Dane's page, his YouTube channel, has the first of a series of a few Being You book clubs that he's doing. And there's old ones there too that you can look on his channel that are absolutely wonderful. But this specific one, I can't even remember what it was that was popping in my world with that squirrel moment. I got distracted over there and then squirreled right out of it. Oh, but I would say, oh, I remember. Yes, my ADD X-Men superpowers. All right, so he spoke about being expanded. And like for me, reading this book, the How to Become Money workbook, for me is like going to a foundation class, a Symphony of Possibilities class. If you're willing, and I know this sounds weird, and maybe I'm the only facilitator in the planet who says this, it's not just the words, okay? It is so much greater than just the words that are written. There is an energy that if you're willing to just let your mental guard down, hi Adriana, if you're willing to let your mind settle, your thoughts stop rushing, don't read it from trying to fix anything. Read it from receiving. Okay? What happens is you begin to expand. Your world begins to expand. Reading the Being You, Changing the World book allows your space to expand. And one of the metaphors that Dane used in the Being You book that I absolutely loved, and I typed it in a comment there on his video, is when someone is contracted, when they're fighting, when they're defensive, when they're holding on, they're like a little tiny thimble or like a little shot glass, right? With water in it. Take a little pebble and toss it in that shot glass. What's gonna happen? There's gonna be a big wave, right? And most of the water that's in it's gonna be out. That's when your container's really tiny. You're defending your whole fucking world. When you lower your barriers, when you expand, when you're willing to be as great as the ocean, as expanded, as willing to touch different borders and lands and places and temperatures, expand. Oceans receive from everywhere. Oceans don't have a point of view about what comes in. And if an ocean gets, plastic bottles or things that it no longer desires in it, the waves wash them out too. But there's no judgment in an ocean's world. Receives everything, be it rain, urine, sewage, anything and everything can flow into the ocean. You take a pebble and you throw it into the freaking ocean. Do you even notice it? No. When we're willing to be expanded, show up as us, in expansion, in allowance, in the willingness to be joy, to be happiness, to be the wonder and the gratitude walking on this planet for everything that's going on, with all of it, that's when it can begin to shift and change. It does not happen from resistance. If you go as a ball against a wall, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, we didn't have so many games. There were certainly no video games. And I remember going to visit my grandmother in Israel, and so we'd play hopscotch and things like that. But at some point, the little bouncy ball would come out, and we'd start tossing it at the wall and having it go under our legs and playing catch. And it was great to play with a wall. Why? Because there was always resistance, and the ball would always come back. When you're willing to be space, if I would toss the ball just down the street, it would just keep going and going and going, rolling down the hill and going some more. There's no resistance. There's no force that comes back against you. When you're willing to lower barriers, when you're willing to be, as Dane said, vulnerable, it is one of the greatest strengths that you can be. And in your being allowance and in being interesting point of view, you are not living trying to prove anything. And it's almost naturally, it's automatically, you begin to expand. You don't have a world to fight against. You have a space to expand and to melt. So how much more melting could we be in the world? And what else is possible beyond anything we could ever imagine? Thank you, and have a beautiful, beautiful day.